Nancy Cordes, who's in Washington and has details on what these documents do contain. Nancy, I have been watching your Twitter feed here feverishly. I know you've got a few bits up there for us, but what can you tell us?
Well, Josh, we've got about 100 more pages from this investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a private server as Secretary of State. You'll recall that earlier this summer, the FBI director announced that the FBI would not be recommending any charges against Clinton. They didn't see enough evidence to prosecute, but still a lot of fascinating details in this investigation, including one interview that I'm reading through right now with a diplomatic security agent at the Department of State who told FBI investigators that Hillary Clinton, in this agent's words, frequently and blatantly disregarded diplomatic protocol when traveling overseas. According to this agent, it was standard procedure that when a Secretary of State went to a foreign country, that the secretary would ride with the local U.S. ambassador to various events, and that this is something that the ambassadors were used to. But the agent says that typically when Hillary Clinton would travel to foreign countries, she would choose instead to ride with her close personal aide, Huma Abedin, instead of the U.S. ambassador, which this agent said caused a lot of embarrassment and frustration on the part of these ambassadors who were used to that kind of courtesy. We're also reading about these conversations that went back and forth between an Undersecretary of State, Patrick Kennedy, and FBI officials when they were trying to figure out how to classify these thousands of Clinton emails after they were handed over from Clinton after residing on her private server for years to the State Department, and they had to go through this process of being classified before the documents could be released to the public. Apparently, as we've already known, the State Department felt that the intelligence agencies and the FBI were overclassifying some of these emails, were labeling them as secret or top secret when the State Department felt that they were not all that sensitive. But these documents go a step further, and they show that Undersecretary of State Patrick Kennedy was actually pressuring not only his own employees, according to these employees, but also FBI officials to try to downgrade some of these classifications, suggesting, according to one FBI official, that perhaps he might be able to grease the wheels for some FBI slots that had not been filled at overseas embassies. But it works both ways, because I'm also reading in these documents that at a separate point, an FBI official made the same offer back to Kennedy. Hey, we'll take a look at reclassifying this document if you look into our slots overseas. At the end of the day, it seems as though nothing came of this. The document's classification wasn't changed. It remained secret, but it does show how intense the argument was over what levels of classification should be imposed on these documents. And the reason that it was so sensitive, Josh, is because obviously the higher the classification level, the more embarrassing it would be for Hillary Clinton to have kept these documents on her server for all those years, and the more embarrassing it would be for State Department officials who hadn't pushed her to hand those documents over either.
Nancy Cordes there in Washington. I know, again, you'll be continuing your dive into the documents in question and have updates as they come available. We do appreciate it.